you can get up on that stage and you can start singing prophetically, and if there's nothing happening, you're like, oh my gosh, my flame is low, my fuel tank's on empty, you know what I mean? And it's this casual conviction, if you will, you know what I mean, of every single week coming back into this place where you can see if you really are what you say you are.
Yeah.
So
it's really good.
it's nice.
It's so good. I think that's a tension in itself is, you can be a funnel and you can stand on a stage and you can be a funnel of what the Lord's saying, but are you a well?
Yeah, come on.
And that's such a good question right there, is that I want to be a well and a funnel so that I can pull from what you've done and are doing in me and what you're saying at the moment.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
beautiful
tension.
Come on.
What about you, babe? Other than all your farm work and
No,
hearing the Lord on your
I think it's
tractor.
you were saying it in the other, talking about your song, like the Holy Spirit, reading in John, will lead us into all truth.
Yeah.
And really coming back to the realization that it's not about rules, it's not about religion, it's not about a list that somebody else follows that you look to.
Right.
Even though that's a really good example to follow in the footsteps of someone that you respect and honor, but actually, like the Holy Spirit might whisper in your ear, like, don't do this or do
That's
this
exactly
or whatever,
right.
that might be completely different than what somebody else is able to do.
That's right.
And so I think it's important that life is really a tension in a good way. It's a tension between the things of this world and the things of God, and it's just like constantly being open to the Holy Spirit when it comes to even the good, even fun things or good things that aren't sinful,
Right.
but could steal away, like you were talking about, our attention and our focus. And I think for me, it is those moments where I'm just reading a chapter in the Bible or spending time just trying to reconnect. And I've noticed lately where I've been doing that, and the Holy Spirit just speaking things to me, preparing me for interactions with people that would be in my day, just like really just, instead of just like flippantly going through your day, because when you're in a position of leadership and you're growing and you're going forward in God, there's going to be so many things that are going to try to steal your attention and your affection and everything. So it's really important that we're constantly plugged into the source. And I think for me, it's going back to the basics, like Hunter, like you're saying, just the simple worship song.
Come on.
That's not for anyone. That's not for the song. That's just literally for like as real and raw as it could be. My dad always says, I'm a beggar before God and a king before men, And the point is, we're not, woe is me, beggar before God, but the reality is just like that humility that's like, I am a beggar before God. And he wants me to be a king. And it's just like that perception and attention. So anyways, that's kind of my approach.
I have a question for you. Do you find doing, because I know you love to work on the yard and raising goats and animals, and Jeremy, you do the same thing as well. Like, do you find God in that as well? In that tending the land.
Well, I do. I think it's anything can become a god and an idol,
So true.
and so it's important. I think for me, it's like I'm like very exaggerated and passionate about everything, and everything can become a god overnight. If I'm going to be honest, an obsession, because I just love lots of things. Yeah. And so it's living in that tension, but I do agree that there is something to where, you're by yourself. Yeah. And it's just that time or that space where God can just speak to you and you're just, there's that connection. So I would say yes. Yeah. But
I'd say you have to be intentional about it, because I can just get on a project and just be a typical guy and just be like, it's not, I'll approach, I took a week off to be like, I'm just going to work on my land. I'm going to decompress. And then by the end of it, I'm killing myself, like just like, and then it's like, I got to get this done. I got to, so I have to be real intentional to actually be relational in it.
That's good, Jared.
Like this, and like with my kids and my wife and all of that. Cause that is not how I don't know that that's not my natural instinct. My natural instinct is to accomplish a task. That's right,
exactly. We're builders.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think what God's been teaching me, it's kind of a lifelong thing of just being constant, being consistent.
Yeah.
I am emotionally driven. I can be incredibly emotionally driven. So my life can just be like this, you know, when I'm feeling inspired, when I'm feeling the closeness or nearness of God. It just like, that's where, you know, and then when I'm not, I can, you know, everything can fall to pieces. And I think I've chosen not to travel this year for a number of different reasons. And part of it, that what's interesting is so much of our, you know, our assignments can fuel our devotional life. Not necessarily, even in a bad way, but it's natural. Like if you know you're leading on Sunday, you're pressing in a different way, you know. Or if you know you're doing this event or that kind of thing. Well, I'm going to Brazil. I'm doing this. Or I'm doing that. You can just be like, okay, Lord, and you can. So much of your connection to the Lord can be fueled by your assignments. And I think in this season, I'm finding like not having all of these other driving forces. Yeah. Like learning to just be constant and to press in and in the steady everyday, not monotony, but the everyday rhythms of life. You know, I think that's really where the rubber meets the road. And knowing that I'm not like I'm not even concerned about myself. I'm just not in a season where I'm like feeling fire. Like inside my heart, you know, which for me, I can get all concerned, but I'm not even, it's not even a concern because I'm walking really well with the Lord. But you go through seasons where your heart's like, I'm burning, you know, and then you go through seasons where you're like, I'm not sure what I am. But I think in those seasons, being consistent. And it leads to...
That's so true.
Yeah, like any relationship. You go through seasons with your wife or your spouse or your husband where you're like, I'm just captivated by you. And then there's seasons where you're like, I'm not sure, you know, what I am necessarily. But love is constant. Love is like an intentional choice. Like this is where I'm going.
Really good.
And when I think when we feel God's presence, when we feel, it's not really about our feelings. And I think...
That's right.
And Eric's been going after this. We've been going after this as a church. Like, it's really easy to be inspired when a glory cloud is showing up. And you have like, yes, you know. Right. And it's so easy to walk in purity and holiness when God feels really, really close. And he's always close. But I think stewarding that in those moments is what leads to when he... Yeah, I just think there's a depth that God is wanting to forge. And sometimes he withdraws so that we do pursue, you know.
Exactly.
And it's not that he's ever withdrawn. I hope you guys hear me in this.
It's true, it's good.
But it's the hiddenness of God that forces us to find him out. And it is the people that keep mining when the gold doesn't appear obvious, that actually dig the deepest and actually find some of the richest treasure. And I just feel like that's... In my life, this is a season of mining, like really going after and doing it, whether I've got a glimpse of the gold or whether I don't.
So true.
Glimpse of the gold.
Glimpse of the gold.
Glimpse of the gold.
That's good.
Anyway. It's so true. That's the chasing you theme right there. That's the chasing you theme. That's because and I think it's amazing to watch, like in the natural, to watch my weird obsession with fire right now, to watch the Lord speaking to us about that very thing, you know, to watch.
Just paying attention. You know?
Like, okay, like just keeping a fire going takes work. It's not like you light a fire and you're done. That will burn out if you don't stoke that fire, if you're not contributing to it. And, you know, it's just that whole parallel. I think the Lord is speaking to us. And it's fun to get together and talk about it because sometimes you feel like that it's just your own little world and you're going through this thing with the Lord. But then you talk with people that you just love so much and you're like, you do, you know? Yeah. So it's just fun to watch that and hearing just... the different
just
themes.
Paying attention, you know, like
the small things.
We find out that God is always speaking. He's always doing something. And he's like the God of metaphors and similes. It's just like amazing how in the physical something can be spiritual, and if we're just taking that time to
hear him.
His love language is parables and stories and metaphors, like you said, and he uses those things to speak.
Totally.
You know, bread and wine.
Hearing him in all of the different little areas. The whisper and the loud roar. Yeah. With Liam Neeson's voice like Aslan.
Absolutely.